Well, we're up to the 6th video on this build, so the motor's out again. This is like the 4th or 5th time I've had to pull the motor in and out, and I've just dummied all the headers up. They all need to be welded out. I've just tacked pretty much all the pipes of the MIG. That's how that side turned out. And then the other side is like that. So they turned out pretty neat. I need to weld out all these headers, ideally with a TIG, so I'm going to try and TIG them all, and then I need to do the EGT bungs while the motor's on this stand here. So the current job I'm doing at the moment is welding on these EGT bungs. So this back one I've had to put up on a decent angle compared to the rest to fit it in there, and drilling a big hole so I can just sink it in there and put it on a decent angle. Doing that on both sides. I did a couple of welds on the pipes while I had them on here. The stainless looks so good. But I went with mild steel for the weight reason. So mild steel's lighter. That's literally the only reason. And with stainless, you got to purge the pipe to weld it, whereas mild, it's not a necessity. So just easier to work with. Yeah, so that's where we ended up there. I did this hose as well. Ran it down to there. That's the main oil feed off the oil pump. So I've learnt that TIG welding literally takes 3 times longer than MIG welding. So they're finally done, and all my pipes are finally fully welded out. It just took a bloody long time. Ended up welding in here as well, and then I just welded a little bit around the top area. I didn't do right round because I didn't need to. And all the pipes are TIG welded. And now I'm going to go and, well, I need to drop them off to Coating King at Cardiff to get them ceramic coated. So the ceramic coating has been the best coating that I've used, because I've used it on my ute now, I've used it on the sedan, I've even had the headers like neon red in the sedan and the coating's still on there. So I'm gonna go drop these off, and while they're getting done I can move on and do something else now finally. So, but it did take me like 3 days of welding just to get these done, so it took me ages. Alright, so this is where we ended up with the firewall at the end of the day. Going inside now. I managed to get this whole piece here done. Only a tiny bit of warpage down the bottom here, which is a little bit annoying, but I can live with that. And so I've got 1mm chromoly steel for the firewall, and it is an absolute prick to bend compared to mild steel. It's very springy, so it's a pain. I've got that big square section welded in there. I just welded it flush up against the under dash support area there, and my plan is to just fill it in. And TIG welded it to the mid plate, and I've also section here, here, and here. It's welded to that dash bar that runs across, so it is mega solid, that area now. So that mid plate is nice and solid, so I don't need to worry about it cracking and snapping off or anything like that, so which is really good. And I just made up this little section here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this while holding a camera, but essentially that's going to go in there, but I've got to push it and bend it as I weld it, sort of thing. And I managed to do 2 bends down here. I just did that in the vise, but it works well. So yes, that is how that's going to go. I'm doing that tomorrow, so I'm going to just push all that in there, weld it all out. I will have a little section here. I'll have to welding separate, and a section here. I only got this much chromoly steel. I didn't buy a bucket load. But if I run out of that, I've got some mild steel. So this side here is going to be an absolute prick because I've got to try and do curves and all sorts of stuff really hard. Ideally, I need to try and follow in that groove, go to the steering column and then go around it and then down. Yeah, something like that. It's going to be really weird and awkward, especially because this header pipe, it literally comes up here sort of thing, like it's really close. So I'll do my best, see how we go. But yeah, I'm pretty keen to get this firewall done because once it's done, it's just a big step in the whole car progress. So let's get it. Okay, so I've gotten that much of the firewall done. One side and the back section, and that's what it looks like on the inside. So the only bends I had to do were down here and here. So just 2 bends pretty much. And the rest is just straight. I like the bends that looks neater down the bottom here, and obviously if I put the glove box back in, which is not going to do anything, but it'll pretty much cover up all that ugliness from like there up sort of thing. So you're not going to see the ugly boxed off section up the top area. I need as much room as I can, so it needs to be like that. So this side here is going to be a nightmare. I don't really have much of a plan for this side, but all right. Other side is done of the firewall. Had to do it in 3 different sections. One section down there, another up there, and then one up the top there. So, and yeah, I did the same as the other side, just MIG'd it all and then went over it with the TIG. So yeah, that's how it looks from the underside. I'll put some stuff like up in that gap area there. You can see up there, there's a little gap. I'll get some sort of goopy stuff, Sikaflex or something to put up in there. I also finally got my Crossmember as well. So this, I had to buy it from USA. It's chromoly, which is really good. So it's chromoly, so it's light. And it was a, I think, Rhodes brand ladder bar Crossmember. It was really long and actually went right to the rails, but I just had to chop the ends off. But that fits absolutely perfect. I think it's sort of 3-inch drop for the tail shaft in the middle here. So 3-inch drop, and I've got a pinky gap there, so that couldn't have worked out any better. Same up there, I've got a little gap up in there. It's not much, but it's enough. And that's only when the car's up off the ground. So yep, really happy with that. And I actually ran out of argon again. I run out of this argon very often, so I'm gonna have to get another refill. And it's about the 4th or the 5th refill I've got since building this car. So this one bottle I think just did the headers. I got the headers welded out with it, and I did this firewall, and then new bottle. So it doesn't last very long, I found. So I'm gonna do that. And yeah, the firewall's done. I need to try to get 2-pack paint on it. So I'm gonna have to try and prep the whole firewall and get paint on it. Yeah, finish welding out that cross member at the back. Yeah, slowly getting there. We're getting there. Fast forward 2 days later, I just bare metaled the rest of that area there and over this side. And I'm going to mask it all off and put some primer on, and then put some 2-pack satin black on. So I'm just going to spray some of this on. And I got some 2-pack satin black. That's for maximum durability of the paint on the firewall. So I'm doing that right now. Just going to mask that up first, primer on, let it dry, put the satin black on. I also got my exhaust back from Coating King. I don't know what coating he used, but the best, most durable stuff for high temperature. It's like a matte black. And he said he used a different stuff for the pipes. They look good. Different material to what's on those. It's meant to be more chip resistant, he said. And the ceramic coating makes a big difference. Huge difference. So I've literally tested the ceramic coating out. Got the headers like neon red, and the coating somehow still survived. And the heat it gets out of the engine bay is huge. So there's a huge benefit to getting ceramic coated pipes in your car. Much better than using heat wrap and stuff like that. But you can generally touch the pipe after 5 minutes turning the car off, whereas if it's not coated, sometimes you gotta wait like 10-20 minutes and you touch the pipe, it's still hot. So it works wonders. And another thing I've been doing in here is just sort of mocking up the tunnel and stuff, transmission tunnel. I'm waiting on another loop to come. It's not coming until next week. Another one of these, because I've got to mount one at the front here, and that's going to get mounted to that. It's the chromoly loop in case the universal joint wants to fling off and hit someone in the face. That's to stop that from happening. And yeah, that fits really well actually. Fits perfectly around the loop, and it's the correct length exactly to go to that bar. So I need to try and get flooring in this thing soon. I'm nearly at that point, so yeah, we'll just see how we go. But for now, I'm just going to do this, and I can probably put the motor in actually after I get this painted. So I'll probably plan on doing that, and then I'll move on to that stuff over there and see what I'm going to do. All masked up and primer on. You can see it looks pretty messy, so I don't want to put gloss black paint on it because it's going to show everything. I had to beat the hell out of that with a hammer and heat it up to get that to bend in like that. So let that dry for a bit, and then put the satin black on, see how it looks. Satin black is now on. I think what I'm really looking forward to is being able to put the motor back in. I did get some runs, you can see them there, but because it's satin black they don't really stand out much anyway. So it's still drying, so as it dries it'll get more satin looking, but yeah, it's looking really good. I've been playing around with this, so I bought some black nuts, because you can buy these low profile, they're just aeroflow nuts. You can buy them in black. Silver obviously doesn't suit the black air cleaner up here. I'm going to have to try and 3D print something, because this wobbles a lot, even when these are done up tight. Well, I can't do them up too tight because this will flex in. So I'm going to, when I get this off, I'll show you. I literally just stabbed them straight through the filter. And let me put this down. Right there. Here we are. They're me two 4500 throttle bodies. And I had to do some clearancing here for the throttle. One back here needed some clearancing for the spring. And this one for the throttle cable, and it might need a little bit more. I'm not too sure. I'll have to wait till it's on. I'll make sure there's some decent clearance, and this is not going to move as well because This is usually how throttles get stuck open, is stuff like this where you could be full throttle and then it'll go to come back and then it'll just jam on something and then hold the throttle open. So I'll definitely make sure there's going to be plenty of clearance here. And I was going to just 3D print like a little thing to go up here. Just something solid so I can do up this nut. And it'll press up under there, up against the plate, so it'll support it a lot better. So just like 2 doohickeys, not like that, much smaller. But yeah, so I'll make 2 little 3D print 2 things to go here, sit up I've got to measure how high, and hopefully that'll stiffen that up, because at the moment this thing moves around a lot. Very floppy and flexy. I might actually even be able to 3D print. That's probably too far. Well, I could probably do one of these and then maybe even have a thing that like comes over and pushes down here. Anyway, I'll do that tonight and see how we go. But Firewall's done. Feels very good to have the motor back in the car. I just used my shed crane thing, got the motor back in, got the steering all done. I gave it a little wheel alignment, fitted the little spacers I've shown in a previous video, these little things, both sides of the rack, so it's got a tiny bit more steering lock. And that's how that turned out. Really neat, really cool. And of course I didn't double check the rear one and just printed it. And it's got a gap at the back here, because that's where the spring's been hitting. Which is a bit annoying. I could actually still use this if I really wanted to. I could like install it on an angle, but my OCD says you're not doing that. So I'm going to print another one and just move this little box section a little bit further down on the 3D printer. But these things are really cool. So I've got to print another one of those. And my header fits at the back there. I just checked. I've only just got it in a bit wonky at the moment, but it fits in there, which is really good. So not going to have any clearance issues. I just need to get some goopy stuff, sealer, to put on the pipes and then install them all, which I'll probably do this afternoon, I reckon. And yeah, get it up on the hoist. I need to do them oil lines too, so I've got plenty of work to do. But yeah, really happy how this air filter setup turned out. I'm just trying to work out a bit of a game plan here of how I'm going to get stuff done. I was going to put the oil cooler, I was going to lay it flat here with a fan blowing up, so it'll get the cold air from down there and suck it up. Except it just doesn't fit. Like I can just manage to squeeze it in there, but it is extremely tight. It's not ideal at all. A little bit frustrating. I'm considering buying one of these PWR coolers, a 28 row with a fan. Not as big, it's probably not going to cool as well as that, but it's going to be worth a try because it's going to fit for now anyway. Like worst case, if it's not perfect, I can change it. So I think I'm going to get one of those because it'll fit down there neat. Just installed the master cylinder. Straight to the firewall, and got the factory rod. Get under here. There you go. Factory HQ steering rod in there. It works perfectly because it's factory. Radiator's staying there. I'm going to buy some, I've already bought some actually, I've got some hoses and pipe extensions and stuff to extend the radiator hoses, the top and the bottom. So I'll just leave the radiator there to make life easy. And yeah, I'm going to just piece away at things. Very stressful at this point of the build because like I don't know where to start, what to do. I actually ordered all the hose fittings too. I just laid out all my hose I got left over and stuff, and I've laid out, put some fittings under there and stuff, and I worked out what fittings I needed to join the scavengers to the oil pump. So I bought those, they're on their way as well. Bought heaps of stuff. Let me go on eBay and have a look exactly what I bought. Yeah, so I got the pipe extensions, some brake line, bought some new brake line, new AN spanner because I broke mine. Yeah, heaps of fittings, some pre-workout for the gym. Yeah, the Aeroflow nuts. Some door handles, and I bought some new door hinges for the fiberglass doors as well, reconditioned ones. So yes, so all I need to do is just wait for some stuff to come, and but it's starting to look good. Like this is looking promising now. Now the motor's in there, I reckon we'll get this to brash nuts. It's the floor part stressing me out a bit too. The whole how the hell to attack that floor situation is frustrating. For me, to be easier if it was just cut the sheet and just lay it on the floor and just bend it and whatever, but I want to put strengthened ribs in it and stuff, which I can't do here, so I've got to either take the cart over to a friend's workshop or try and cut the floor panels and then say I want strengthened ribs here, and it seems like a bit of a nightmare, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. Alright, finally I've had my loop I've been waiting for turn up. My loop, which is really good, so I can put that in and get my tunnel done. I've done a bit of work to that yesterday, but I'll show you guys in a minute. And bought the sticker flex. This is going to be to pretty much fill in any gaps and stuff when I'm done. I bought a fan, spell fan for the PWR oil cooler I bought. So the other one doesn't fit. I bought a PWR one, which hasn't come yet. And door handles, door locks and stuff. And rebuilt ones too, so they're going to be mint for the fiberglass doors. And I've 3D printed some door hinges as well. And this is for the battery, Lithimax battery. So this is to mount it on the Firewall. That's how I got it mounted on the ute. So I'll show you exactly. I can't even show you because it's up too high. But it's going to go right there next to the motor on the Firewall. Just mount there, and nice and close to the ECU and everything up there. Yeah, so yesterday I did some painting in here. Painted all up under there, and I painted the bar work just back to where I'm sort of working, to around here. And that other loop I'm going to weld on there right now. I welded that on there, which is 1.5mm chromoly. So if the universal joint decides to let go, it ain't going to fly in anyone's face. And I think that's really all I got done the other day. Wasn't heaps. So I'm going to do this loop and stuff, and yeah, I'll check back in shortly. Well, my tail shaft loop wasn't due until later this week, but it came in yesterday, so I got it installed. And there you have it. Tail shaft loop, double loop. And this cross member is removable down here, so I've installed bolts here on each side. So undo the bolts and then this loop will actually stay with the car, and the crossmember will drop down to get the gearbox out. And I've also started to install the tunnel. Let me turn on my torch is flat. So I've only got half in at the moment, and got the other half over here on the ground, just sort of cut to shape. I'm just going to buzz over that with a strip disc to get the rust off. It's only got little bits of surface rust on there. Just want to clean that up a bit. Put that in. My fitment was pretty poor on this one in here. Let me get my torch. It sucks for this lack of light. So as you can see there, my fitment is really bad. So there's like a massive gap there of about, I don't know, 5 mil sort of thing. And I've just had to like bridge the gap with MIG welds. I'm going to just weld a little thin section in there from the underside to fix that up, because I'm going to end up adding like a kilo of MIG weld to try and bridge that gap. Not a kilo, but just too much. So I'm going to do that now, fix that massive gap, and make sure when I fit this one that the gap is a lot better, and get it in, and we'll check it out, see how it looks. But it's looking really good so far. So, and also fitted some extensions to my radiator hoses. So I just got a big extension down the bottom and a little one up here just to join the hoses together. Yeah. Alright, so the other side's tacked in. I just did like a lap joint down the middle, welded it this side, and also welded it on the top. Just lots of little tacks. Millions of little tacks around there and around there. It's pretty thin stuff, so it's not very structural. And then there's heaps of tacks down there. And I'll show you guys the top side. Alright, and this is how the top finished up. I just tacked it all in with a MIG, and then I pretty much went from the top to the bottom with a TIG just to seal it up, and I MIG welded around there, but I just went over it with a TIG to make it look pretty. And it's tacked to the floor in 2 spots, both sides. I'm going to use seam sealer to fill in the gaps. So I'm just going to leave it tacked like that, and flap disc whatever I need to, and then just run seam sealer over all the big gaps and stuff. Otherwise I'm going to be here for ages trying to put chunks of weld on there and make it look neat everywhere. So seam sealer is going to be used next. It is tea time, so I've got to go inside. Alright, I got a lot done today. My oil cooler turned up. I did weigh it also. It's only like 3 kilos, so it's nice and light. It's a 28 row stack plate PWR cooler with a 9-inch spout fan. That's what it is. Oh, it's all very dark in here, but I just got the tunnel painted in satin black. I mounted a bar that runs up the tunnel, which the shifter and the drift brake goes right there. Shifter will go next to it. So I've mounted it offset for the drift brake and the shifter. So, and I've just welded it up into the firewall, which is it's 1 mil chromoly, so it's definitely strong enough to support it. And I've painted all the bar work in the back here. So all the bar work is finally painted, and also patched up. If you watched any of the previous videos, I had a lot of pipe work running through the body. I just patched up all the holes. Got some little thin plate. I think it's like 0.6 mil or something, and just welded them on there. I haven't painted. There's a few little areas in here I've got to paint, but I need to take the shocks out to do that because I don't want to get overspray all over my AFCO shocks and make them look ugly. So I've got to take the shocks out at a minimum, lower the diff down, and I'll finish up in there. And probably see the tunnel a bit better this way. Super happy how that tunnel turned out. Really happy. And putting that bar up there, like that only just come to me recently. I was thinking of all sorts of ideas to try and mount the shifter, and then I thought of that and I was like, wow, that's a bloody good idea. So, because the tunnel is only 0.6 mil, so it's really thin, so can't really mount much to it because it'll just fall off or like bend the tunnel or something, especially the drip brake. So, and more on the progress list. I got me material from the 3D printer, so printed another one of these for the filter, which I'll fit that in tomorrow. I had to make this one offset, this box section here. I had to move it across for that, so that's done now. I'll probably do that tomorrow. Need to fit that, and then once that's fitted to that, that air cleaner assembly is 100% done. So yeah, I got heaps done today, which is really good. Still waiting on stuff in the mail, fittings, that sort of thing, to do the oil lines and a few little things like that, but I can actually put the wiring back in the car now, which is going to be really good. So I'm keen to get that done. Get the wiring in, and then everything's just gonna fly along. All right, another full day on the car. I 3D printed the other one of those things to mount the filter, and that there, my Sikaflex that I bought, or whatever it is, I thought it was black. It's white. So painfully enough, it's white. So I just did the tunnel and everything with it, and I had to go back over it with paint to paint over the white because it stands out, as you can see. But I had to put some here because there was a little gap under this box section, because the 3D printer, when you print high temperature stuff with a 3D printer, it can usually warp up, it twists up the ends, so the corners here had big gaps. So just in case they go forward driving or something, I don't want dirt flying in there and going down in there. So it sealed up really well, and they turned out awesome, those things. So inside, I have the seats mounted. I've got my drift brake mounted on that bar, which sits in a really good spot. Shifter's going to go next to it, down the middle there. Fitted the tail shaft, painted everything, all that silica, whatchamacallit, freaking Sikaflex stuff. I put it on around the tunnel, and I had to go over it with paint again, and down there. Also the underside I did. I did a little bit more painting back here. Just down here in those areas, and that bar up there. Made sure that was all painted. A few little things. Had to take the shocks out to do that, so it was a bit of a prick of a job. Getting this exhaust on was a nightmare. I'll lift the car up and I'll show the underside. So there's the underside with the exhaust all fitted and freshly coated. I did have to scratch it a bit trying to beat it on there. This idea here was very stupid as far as trying to slide these on over the pipes. It was an absolute nightmare. I was swearing my head off. So I had to loosen all the pipes on the heads, and had to flog this with a hammer. Had to like pry screwdrivers in here to line pipes up and stuff. It just sucked. But I got them on. It's not too bad with a hoist, but definitely wouldn't be doing it without a hoist. And the gearbox was very close in one spot. It actually, hang on, let me get a torch. So the gearbox actually hit right there. So it actually made itself a little ding in the floor. So that's the one spot where the gearbox hit, right there. And yeah, I had to do some squeezing to get that in, but I got it in there. I got one converter bolt in, and to get 2 more in. Which I'll probably do that when I get off this. And yeah, there's a bit of room in there. I couldn't get to the top bolt, the one at the very, very top, but it's not really needed anyway. So I'm just going to stick with the 6 bolts holding the bell housing. That's it. Took me all day to do that, and it's like I did absolutely nothing from the previous one. I've still got a bit of work to do. It's yeah, well, 2 weeks till brushing it, so I reckon I'll make it, but it'll be very tight. I'm planning on doing the floor last now, so I'm actually going to put the wiring back in, which is over there on the floor. I'm going to chuck the wiring in and sit the fuel tank in the boot and get all the plumbing done for the oil lines, fuel lines when I get the fittings in the mail, and hopefully get it running, start her up, and once I get the car running, really the only thing stopping it from doing a burnout is going to be having a floor in it. So, but yeah, I can do that after I get it running, so it's not a big deal. I've got 2 weeks, so plenty of time. So before I can fit this tank, I actually need to weld another return on the tank. So, which I've got here, and a bit of pipe. And essentially I just need to install another return like that one, either below it or probably below it, I think, or next to it, something like that. So that's my job here, which is going to be interesting because I haven't welded aluminium before. So I'll make sure I do some practicing on some offcuts before I attempt it, so I don't completely stuff it up. The inside of this tank is actually extremely well baffled. Those baffles going all the way down in there. So it's crazy that I had oil surge issues with this thing, or somehow there was enough oil getting stuck inside the motor where the oil would somehow go past the pickup and suck air in, which is really weird. Very strange I had them problems, but yeah, anywho, hopefully I don't have them anymore. So I'm going to attack this job and we'll see how we go. Alright, this is my first ever attempt at welding aluminium. I just did a few little practice goes over here, which was just poo. Trying to weld thin alloy to thick alloy was very hard, and here we have it. I'm actually very impressed. Didn't make any holes. I did spend a lot of prep work on cleaning the steel butt, and I got on a pulse with 113 amps. Seems to be working alright. Well, I'm actually incredibly happy with my first attempt at welding aluminium. There's a few spots that got a bit messy, but it's going to work, which is cool. I got one good run right there where it was like nice and straight. So I reckon I could actually lay some pretty good welds on a straight path. I had the pulse on for that top section there. I turned it off, and believe it or not, when I turned it off, that's when the dimes come out. So in future I probably won't use the pulse, but yeah, very cool. And that's how that ended up. So it's going to pull the oil out of the engine and swish it around in there with the other one. It's going to work really well. One thing I nearly forgot that I bought is bought this from Motorsport Connections. It's a clear sight tube that goes into the side of this tank. So I've got to weld 2 more little bungs in the sides of these, and yeah, I can actually see the oil level on the outside of the tank, which is really cool. So I'm going to chuck that on now as well. Clean the tank up, put it back together, and mount it in the car. Buzz these on nice and quick, there and there, for the sight tube. This will actually be really handy to see the oil level of the tank. It's going to go right there, and yeah, you can actually see the oil level in the tank, which will be interesting, especially when it's halfway through a burnout. Interesting to see what the oil's doing, if it's in the tank or if it's getting stuck in the motor or not. Very cool. So I'm going to actually unbolt the bottom of this tank as well, give it a really good clean out, and then put it all back together and then put it in the car. Alright, here she is, oil tank mounted in position. So I've got a little peacock out the bottom there so I can drain it once I get the floor panels in, and I'm just going to run 3 90-degree bends off all these. So there'll be another 90-degree bend off here, shooting down there, one off there, going that way, and then I've got a breather, it's over there, but it's just a hose that's going to run down through the floor, and it's got a little filter on it, so it's the tank breather. That's pretty much that setup all sorted now. So plan is for running these dry sump lines. One's going to come up through there, one's going to come up through here. They need to go to that tank, so there's not much room. I'm planning on maybe running them up, down behind where the inner guard will be here, and through here, in there. Take this little thing out of the floor here, and it's just essentially the hoses are going to run straight through under the floor here and underneath, and then they'll come back up behind the seat here before that gets to the exhaust and run up to the tank. That's going to be the best way away from all the heat and everything that I can get them lines there. The oil feed line is going to get put in the side of the tunnel here, around here, down low. I'm going to have to cut my freshly made tunnel and run a -16 line all the way down the tunnel to the bottom of the oil pump. And yeah, still waiting on some oil lines and stuff and fuel lines as well, actually, to do the fuel system. So waiting on a few little things. And shed's getting a little bit cleaner, which is good. The next thing I'll be doing, it will probably be this wiring here, big bird nest, and the Haltech and everything. I'll try and put all that back in. The only really thing I'm relocating is the battery. I used to have the battery up the front here. Now it's going to go up here. Little lithium battery. I'm thinking of putting my oil cooler here, actually, behind the headlights on an angle, with a fan on the back here. So if I really wanted to get serious and the car was getting hot oil, I could take these headlights out, or try and make some holes somewhere. I don't know. But I'm thinking of putting the oil cooler there, like just sort of on a bit of an angle, slant, fan on the back. So we'll see how we go. I'm going to end the video here because it's been 2 weeks or something like that, 3, I can't even remember now. And there's 2 weeks until Brashnats now, so I'm not going to do another video until it's time for Brashnats. So probably the day before I might put one up and see if we actually make it or not. So I've got a feeling we will, but yeah, I've still got a bit of work to do, like getting the wiring in. Wiring and plumbing, they're the 2 big things I want to get done so then I can start the motor. Once I get the motor running and stuff, make sure everything's happy. I'm gonna take the car over to my friends to do the flooring. Adam Shaw, he used to work over at United Speed Shop, my old neighbour, and he's got a workshop out at Cardiff. So I'll probably end up taking it over there to get the flooring done. He's got a bead roller and stuff over there and folder, just to make it all neat. So that's going to be the plan over the next 2 weeks that I've got for this thing. And there won't be any painting, so the build will obviously finish on after the 2 weeks, because I'll probably have to put the old steel panels back on to do brushnets, and then when I get it back, I'll have to get the fiberglass panels on, and I'm going to have to respray the car too, because it's, the paint's all buggered. It's buggered. So thanks for watching, guys. 2 weeks and I'll have another one up.